Consider for a moment the most profound, deeply embarrassing paradox of human existence. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world, sat in his tent 2,000 years ago and wrote this terrifying observation in his private journal. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Read that again. Let the absolute absurdity of that truth settle into your mind. You are the center of your own universe. You experience every physical pain, every moment of anxiety, and every silent hope inside your own physical body. Yet, you are entirely willing to alter your personality, abandon your dreams, and silence your authentic voice simply to avoid the hypothetical disapproval of complete strangers. You have built a psychological prison for yourself. You have locked yourself inside. And you have willingly handed the keys to people you do not even respect. Why do we do this? Why are we so paralyzed by the fear of being judged? You must understand that your brain is playing a cruel evolutionary trick on you. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, when human beings lived in small, vulnerable tribes on the savanna, the opinion of the group was a matter of physical survival. If the tribe did not like you, if you were deemed weird or unacceptable, you were exiled. And in the ancient world, exile meant absolute, unavoidable death by starvation or predators. Your brain is still wired for that ancient reality. Every time you want to start a new project, speak your mind, or step outside the boundaries of normal behavior, your primitive brain sounds a massive alarm. It tells you that if people cringe at you, if they laugh at you, you are going to die. But look around you, you are not in a tribe. You are living in a modern, disconnected society. Exile no longer exists. If a faceless stranger on the internet or a mediocre coworker thinks your ideas are stupid, absolutely nothing happens to you. You will not starve. You will not be hunted. The biological alarm ringing in your head is a ghost, and you are letting a ghost dictate the entire trajectory of your brief mortal life. Look closely at the people whose opinions you are so desperately terrified of. Who are they, really? Most of the people judging you are deeply miserable, entirely lost, and entirely out of control of their own minds. They are addicted to cheap dopamine, they are drowning in their own insecurities, and they have abandoned their own dreams years ago. They scroll mindlessly through screens, projecting their internal self-hatred onto anyone brave enough to actually try something new. Ask yourself this brutal question: would you take financial advice from a person who is bankrupt? Would you take health advice from a person who is chronically sick? Of course not. That would be insane. Then why in the world are you taking life advice and behavioral cues from people who are fundamentally unhappy? Why are you allowing the lowest common denominator of society to act as the supreme judge, jury, and executioner of your potential? The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus was born a slave. He was physically crippled by his master. He had absolutely zero power in the physical world. Yet, he became one of the freest men to ever walk the earth because he mastered the dichotomy of control. He understood that you cannot control the vocal cords of another human being. You cannot control the neurons firing in their brain. You cannot control their prejudices, their jealousy, or their misunderstanding of your mission. Trying to control what other people think of you is the definition of insanity. It is a game you are mathematically guaranteed to lose. When you obsess over your reputation, when you carefully curate your words to avoid offending anyone, you are voluntarily placing a leash around your own neck and handing the other end to the crowd. You become a puppet, and the crowd pulls the strings. Consider the absolute, terrifying freedom of Diogenes of Sinope. He understood this disease of the ego better than anyone in the ancient world. When Alexander the Great, the most powerful conqueror on the entire planet, stood over him and offered him anything he desired, Diogenes simply asked the emperor to step out of his sunlight. He lived on the streets. He rejected every single social norm. He mocked the wealthy elite directly to their faces. He was fundamentally immune to the toxic poison of public opinion. He understood a brutal truth. A man who desperately needs the applause of the crowd is entirely enslaved by the crowd. We often look at Diogenes as a historical madman, but in reality, he was the only truly free person in an insane society. Today, we are the madmen. We live in a digital panopticon of our own creation. We spend our irreplaceable hours curating digital avatars, taking dozens of photos just to select the one that makes our miserable lives look perfectly aesthetic, all to impress people we fundamentally do not care about. We have turned our entire existence into a desperate, exhausting performance. We are actors terrified of an audience that is constantly scrolling past us, not even fully registering our existence. You are paralyzed by the judgment of people who forget you exist the exact second they lock their phone screens. They are not actually thinking about you. They are only thinking about themselves and how they are being perceived by others. The prison of public opinion is completely empty. There are no guards. You are guarding your own cell. Every single time you dilute your true personality to fit into the suffocating, boring mold of what is considered normal, you are committing a microscopic suicide. You are killing the only unique spark of consciousness you were given. You are trading your sovereign destiny for a fleeting feeling of social safety. The graveyard is the richest place on earth. It is filled with unwritten books, unlaunched businesses, unexpressed love, and unrealized greatness. And do you know what killed all of that potential? It was not a lack of talent. It was not a lack of resources. It was the fear of being perceived as cringe. Cringe is the tax you must pay on evolution. Every single person who has ever achieved anything of profound significance was laughed at, mocked, and misunderstood by the masses before they were celebrated. If you are not willing to look foolish, if you are not willing to be the villain in someone else's boring story, you will remain trapped in the suffocating comfort of mediocrity forever. You will live as a cheap copy of what society wants you to be, and you will die having never actually met your true self. You must actively train yourself to stop caring. This is not a passive state. It is an aggressive, daily discipline. You must begin to view the disapproval of the crowd not as a threat, but as a compass. If the mindless majority is comfortable with what you are doing, you are probably going in the wrong direction. You need to develop a thick, impenetrable skin. Let them misunderstand you. Let them roll their eyes. Let them leave their toxic comments. Let them gossip. Let their words fall completely flat against the fortress of your sovereign mind. Your life's mission is not to be universally liked. Your mission is to be undeniably authentic. Fast forward to the last 5 minutes of your life. You are lying on your deathbed. The room is quiet. The heart monitor is slowing down. In that final, blinding moment of total clarity, do you really think you are going to care about the opinion of that coworker who judged you 20 years ago? Do you think you will care about a negative comment from a faceless stranger on a screen? All of that noise will evaporate into absolute nothingness. The only thing that will matter in that room is whether or not you had the courage to live your own life. Do not wait until your deathbed to realize that the opinions of others were always a pathetic illusion. Step out of the prison. The gates have always been unlocked. Reclaim your identity. Stop negotiating your authenticity with people who do not matter. Speak the truth. Build your empire. Create your art. Disappoint the crowd. Become absolutely, terrifically indifferent to the noise of the world. And watch how quickly reality bends to a person who is no longer afraid of being judged.